my name is Eileen Zanarios from Flex Counseling and Wellness. These video yoga courses are intended for you to enjoy yoga in the comfort of your own home, at your own pace. As always, with any physical activity, make sure that your doctor approves you for physical activity, such as yoga, stretching, and that sort of thing. If you're not sure, ask. These classes are designed with a trauma-informed approach, which means that I will provide several suggestions for you, and it will be up to you to decide what works for you and your body. So beginning on our knees in our child's pose, we'll sit back towards our heels. Inviting the forehead down, either resting on a block or resting on the ground. Arms can stretch forward, fingertips spread wide, palms on the mat. As another option, you can reach back towards your heels and kind of tuck in. And just invite your body to settle on the mat. Feeling the gravity, feeling the ground beneath your body. And as you shift away from whatever you were doing before, now you're shifting into your yoga mindset, the present moment, anchoring the mind on the breath, allowing the thoughts to float on by. If you're feeling any tension in your body, invite it to soften and melt away. Begin to make your way up to an all-fours posture and find a comfortable seated position. So you may cross your legs if it feels right. If that does not feel right, you can find a different way to sit. Sometimes people like to sit on a foam block or grab a blanket. These nice yoga blankets can be great to just place underneath between your seat and your mat to allow for a little bit more comfort. We're going to do some neck and gentle shoulder stretches to begin our practice. So to start, find a long spine. Invite the heart to open, shoulder blades to kiss together on the back ever so gently. Chin is tucked in a little bit. Just find some breaths with this posture. And then we'll begin making some circles with our shoulders. Your circles can be as large or as small as feels good in your body today. And then you'll switch directions with your circles. Notice if you're feeling tension and just invite that tension to leave the body. And then when you're ready, just find a comfortable centered posture. We're going to slowly take our right ear towards our right shoulder, just very gentle. Inviting the left side of the neck to open, allowing the body to open. Notice if you're clenching your jaw. It's a common place for us to hold on to tension and stress. Just invite that jaw to soften. And then slowly bring the head back through center. And then take the left ear towards the left shoulder, allowing the right side of the neck to open. So in our yoga practice, we want our bodies to just open naturally and gently. So no forcing, just allow the neck to open as much as it works. And that might feel like just a little bit of movement for you, or it might feel like a lot. There's no right or wrong. Slowly bring the head back through center. And next, this next stretch is helpful if you have a strap, which I do, or if you have a hand towel. Something you could even use, I don't know, a shirt or a hoodie or something if you want to. All we're trying to do is get some length between our hands, so something to grab onto. So we're going to take the strap into our right hand, stretch our right arm up towards the sky, and then bend the elbow, and then left hand reaches back and grabs for the stretching item. So again, you could see it could be a towel, could be a hoodie, could be a strap, whatever you have. And we'll just rest here. Allowing the back of the arm to open and the heart to open. If anyone sits a lot in their job, at a desk or in a car, we kind of hunch forward, and that can really bring a lot of tension into our neck and our upper back area. So this stretch kind of counteracts that. So it might feel a little uncomfortable for you at first because your shoulders and your back might be used to rounding the other way if you're holding onto the steering wheel or typing in a keyboard. So this is one of those stretches I recommend doing often, depending on what your job is. You might even want to do this stretch like every day. It's easy, it doesn't take too long. We're going to slowly allow our bind to unwind and start to make some circles with the shoulders again. You might feel that blood flowing back in where it was constricted. And we'll switch hands. Take the left arm up to the sky, bend the elbow, and reach back. And this one too, you may notice that your left arm feels a lot different than your right arm. So throughout our day, we tend to do more things with our dominant hand. And so our tightness may not be evenly distributed in our body. Just inviting the mind to the breath. Feeling that tension leave the body. If you notice thoughts come up, just allow them to come on up and then float on by. No forcing, just allowing. And then we'll slowly release. And then we'll find some circles. And then we'll unwrap our legs. And we'll find some windshield washers with our legs. Our knees go side to side like a set of windshield washers. Starting to open the hips a little bit. And then from here, we're going to make our way to our downward facing dog. So finding an all fours posture. Hopefully that wasn't me, that was just the block. Hands come forward, toes tuck under, and we find our inverted V, stretching into our downward facing dog. So beginning in our downward facing dog, we'll do a series of sun salutation B, and we'll do maybe 3 or 4 rounds. We'll see how far we get. And we're going to attempt 1 breath per movement.
So just know that if you fumble a little bit in the beginning, it's okay. We'll do enough rounds that you'll catch up, and you'll notice too my instructing and my personal yoga practice. I move slow, so I'm not one of those super quick yoga practitioners. I like to move, feel each pose in my body, feel my muscles, and become very mindful about where my body is in space. And so if that's a mindset that you like to cultivate, feel free. If you'd rather just sort of tune out, listen to some music, you can do that as well. It's totally up to you. Again, it's your practice. So we'll start by taking our feet together at the back of the mat. Slowly lifting those right toes up to the sky. Bend the knee, tucking the belly button in. Bring that right foot forward in between the hands. Spin the back foot flat to an angle. And rise on up to a warrior one. Get settled in. Find that hip placement, headlights forward. Cactus the arms or allow them to stretch up. Deep breath in. Slowly come back on down to the mat. Step back, high plank. Shift forward, low plank or belly. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. And exhale, downward facing dog. Feet together at the back of the mat. Left toes lift. Bend the left knee. Bring it on forward. Spin the back foot flat. Rise up. Warrior one. Settle in. Headlights. Deep breath in. Exhale all the way down. High plank. Low plank or belly. Up dog or cobra. And downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Long breath out. Deep breath in. Long breath out. Breathe in and lift the heels high. Exhale, bend the knees. Walk forward. Halfway lift. And fold. Sit the bottom back and down. Maybe spread the feet further apart. And come on up into your chair pose. Deep breath in. Exhale, fold forward over the legs. Halfway lift. Exhale, hands plant. Step back, high plank, low plank or belly, up dog or cobra, and downward facing dog. Deep breath in, long breath out. Feet come together at the back of the mat. Right toes stretch up, bend the knee. And slowly take the foot forward. Back foot spins flat. We rise up. And we come back down. High plank. Low plank or belly. Cobra or upward facing dog. And downward facing dog. Breathe in. Breathe out. Feet come together at the back of the mat. Left toes come up. Bend and bring it on forward. Spin the back foot flat. And we rise. Stretch up. Maybe even look up at the ceiling. Deep breath in. And exhale down. High plank. Low plank or belly. Up dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Long breath out. Inhale. Exhale. Breathe in and lift heels. Exhale, bend knees. Walk forward. Halfway lift. And fold. Sit down and come up.
Chair pose. Breathe in and strength. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift. Hands to the mat, we step back. High plank. Low plank or belly. Up dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Long, slow breath out. Feet together at the back of the mat. Right toes lift up. This time we're going to bend our right knee and stack and open our hip. We'll take a little bit of a hip opener here. Take a deep breath in. Slowly bring that right foot forward. Back foot spins to an angle and we rise. Rise up, breathe in, and exhale, hands to the mat. High plank, low plank or belly, cobra or up dog, downward facing dog. Breathe in, breathe out. Feet come together at the back of the mat. Left foot lifts up. Bend that left knee. Knee comes towards the ceiling. We're going to stretch open that hip. Take a deep breath in. And slowly, left foot comes forward. Right foot spins flat. Belly is strong as we rise on up to our warrior one. Deep breath in. Exhale, fold on down. High plank, low plank or belly, up dog or cobra. We meet back in our downward facing dog. Deep breath in, long breath out. Deep breath in, long breath out. Breathe in and lift heels. Exhale, bend. Walk or even jump your feet between your hands if you'd like. Halfway lift and fold. Sit down and come on up. Chair pose, Utkatasana. Deep breath in. Fold on down. Halfway lift. Hands plant. High plank. Shift forward. Low plank or belly. Cobra or upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Immediately bring those feet together at the back of the mat. Right toes lift. Bend and open. Stretch. Slowly take that right foot forward. Spin that back foot to an angle. Rise. Strength. Warrior one. Exhale, fold over. Step back. High plank. Low plank or belly. Cobra or up dog. Meeting back in our downward facing dog. Feet come together. Left foot lifts to the sky, stretch. Bend and open that hip. Take an inhale here. And then slowly exhale as you plant your left foot. Spin the right foot flat and rise. Rise up. Warrior one. Deep breath in. Hands come on down to the mat. High plank. Low plank or belly. Cobra or upward facing dog. Open that heart. And hips to the sky. Downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Long breath out. And you can take a few breaths here in your downward facing dog. Or you can drop the knees, sit the hips back, and rest in a child's pose.
All right, beginning from our downward facing dog. Feet come together at the back of the mat. Right foot lifts, bend and open. Deep breath in. Slowly take the right foot forward. We're going to drop our back knee and come into a crane pose. Opening the psoas muscle. Keeping that core engaged. Press down and forward with your front leg, and you'll feel the opening. Again, we can cactus or keep our arms straight, or even head into hands, hands into head. Deep breath in. Exhale, hands come down to the mat, tuck the back toes under, come into a high lunge, and take right fingertips to the sky. Twist. Take the right fingertips back down to the ground. And we're going to walk to the left. We're going to come into a wide-legged straddle, allowing our head to hang heavy. Can reach for each ankle with our hands. Can place your arms on the ground. Whatever feels nice and opening for you. And then from here, we're going to walk back towards a high lunge. And we're going to hop our back foot up maybe about 8 to 10 inches. Straighten our right leg out and come into a pyramid stretch. Now, I like to use a block with my pyramid stretch. It helps my lower back feel a little bit healthier. You can take your thumb into your right hip crease and press back. And that really engages the stretch into the right hamstring. Tucking the chin in, you'll stretch the crown of the head forward and keep pulling the tailbone back. So we're lengthening our spine as we stretch. And then from here, we'll start to bend our right knee and take a block about 6 inches away from the pinky toe of your right foot. If you don't have a block, that's okay. You can place your fingertips on the ground. We're going to open up into a balancing half moon. And for this one, you can keep your gaze down. You can turn it up towards the ceiling. This is a balancing pose, but it's also strengthening. It's a nice kind of one-size-fits-all pose where you're doing just about everything in your yoga practice when you're doing a balancing half moon. A few more breaths. And then we'll slowly take our left foot down next to our right. Come into a halfway lift to neutralize the spine. And fold forward. And we'll hold our deep stretch pose. So take your feet a little wider than hips width, almost mat's width apart. And you can just hang on, grab on elbow to elbow and let your head hang heavy. Again, just opening up those hamstrings. This is kind of our stretching standing series. So we've got a lot of stretching going on even as we continue some of these different standing poses. This is a really nice release for the upper part of the spine and the thoracic spine, which is like the middle. And then release the arms. Walk the feet a little closer together. Press into that halfway lift. And exhale, hands to the mat, step back. High plank to low plank or belly. Up dog or cobra. Back to our downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Long breath out. Feet come together at the back of the mat. Left toes lift, bend, open the hip. Take an inhale here. Slowly exhale, left foot in between the hands. Drop the right knee. We'll come into our crane pose. Opening that other psoas muscle. This time it's the right psoas muscle. Finding the breath. Again, you can press into your left leg if you wanna, and kind of at the same time you're pulling your belly button in towards your spine. That's really gonna target and engage that psoas as you're stretching, which really pumps up the stretch. Or if you'd like, you can just kind of take the opportunity to stretch the arms and the shoulders and the upper back a little bit. One more breath in. Hands come down. Back. Toes tuck under, and we find our twist. High lunge twist. And then we're going to slowly start to walk towards the right, coming into our wide leg straddle. And when you straddle here, you're going to want to have your heels a little further out, your toes a little farther in. And just grabbing onto ankles. There's any number of things you can do here. You can place both hands together on your back. Reverse namaskar. You can take a shoulder rinse. Grabbing onto a strap or your hands and kind of taking your arms over your head. I'm a little tight today, but there we go. Shoulder rinse. Or you can just hold on to the ankles and allow everything to just open and melt. And then when you're ready, you'll start to walk back towards the top of the mat, hopping the back foot in about 8 to 10 inches. If you have a block and want to use it for your pyramid, go ahead. This is a little bit of a gentler stretch. Keep stretching the crown of the head forward as the hip stretches back. And then we'll slowly start to make our way to our balancing half moon. So taking the block to the pinky toe side of the left foot. If you don't have a block, you'll place your hand on the mat and you'll open up. This is an open hip posture. It's also called an external rotation of the hip. Set the gaze, find the breath. And one more deep breath in. And as you exhale, take the right foot down next to the left. Come into a halfway lift to clear out the spine. Hands to the mat. We're going to walk our feet out wide. And this is one where you can take a block if you want, place it under your bottom. We're gonna come into a goddess squat, which is gonna open up the inner thighs. So you can come into a high squat if you'd like. I'm in a low squat. I'm pressing my knees into my upper arms and my upper arms into my knees. So I'm engaging as I open the inner thighs. Again, it's an active pose, but it's also a stretching pose, so it's got a little bit of both going on. Then we'll take our hands down, we'll kind of release up. Coming into a forward fold, kind of shake everything out. Coming back to our high plank, low plank or belly. Up dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. And then we'll come down into a child's pose for a few breaths to rest. Coming into our downward facing dog. Lift our heels, bend knees, and walk our feet forward. Press into a halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up to stand. Exhale, sitting down into a chair pose. We'll start with eagle. Taking our right leg, crossing it over our left, and our right arm under our left arm. Bend both elbows and wind up. If the full expression of the posture is a little bit too intense for your body, you can just give yourself a bear hug with your arms. And we breathe. One more deep breath in, long breath out, and we unwind. Back to stand. Inhaling fingertips to the sky, sitting back into a chair pose. This time the left leg comes over and the left arm comes under. Twist. Hugging in the muscles, wrapping the muscles around the bones. Find stillness. Maybe you set your gaze in one spot, your drishti. And we breathe. Deep breath in, long breath out. Breathing in and out. And we'll unwind back to stand. Hands come to heart. Next, we'll come into a tree pose. So tree is nice and grounding and centering. And there's a few variations of tree that you can explore. So we'll start by imagining some roots growing into our left foot. We're going to lift our right foot, and maybe we take our right foot just towards our ankle and press. And this can be your tree pose. So your right leg doesn't have to come up super high. If you feel like you can do a little bit more, you might bring your foot up to your calf. And again, press the foot into the calf into the foot. And you might come up to your upper thigh, but only if it feels good for you, right for your body. And wherever you go in your tree pose, you just want to make sure you don't press your foot into the inside of your knee, because your knee doesn't want to have sideways pressure on it. So from here, we just settle in. Again,
maybe we find our gaze, setting our gaze in one spot, tucking that belly button in towards the spine for stability. We'll take 3 breaths together. Inhale 1, exhale. Inhale 2, exhale. 1 more deep breath in, and we come down. Maybe shake out. If you're holding on to tension, let that tension release. We'll meet back with hands in front of heart, finding our stability. And now we'll imagine those roots growing down into the earth from our right foot. And we'll take our left foot, maybe to the ankle. You could even leave your toes, your left toes, on the mat, like a kickstand. That's still a tree pose. That's just a less intense variation. The interesting thing about balance is it is one of those things that gets better the more you practice. So you might find that when you first start a yoga practice, some of these balancing poses seem unattainable, but then after you're practicing for a few months or a year, all of a sudden you can do them. So it just takes that consistent practice. And you eventually learn to kind of settle your body, settle your mind. And then the balance comes. So you can rest your foot into your calf if you'd like. As long as you avoid the knee, that's all that matters. And then maybe you take it to your upper thigh. I'll tell you something about the upper thigh is, here we go, I'm going to demonstrate it. Slippery pants. So if your yoga pants are a little slippery, it can be a challenge to keep your foot in place with the inner thigh. That's why sometimes the hot yoga is nice, because it gets you all sweaty. And then not slippery. Breathing in and out. Finding that stability, finding that center. 1 more breath in, and we release. Check it out. And we'll do 1 more balance pose here in our balancing series. We'll go for an airplane pose. Now, airplane starts to build some pretty good strength as well, so keep that in mind. Depending on how you're feeling, once again, there might be different levels or layers to your airplane pose. So we'll start by, once again, centering, hands in front of heart. Take the right knee up. You can tell this is going to be interesting for me today. Every day our balance can be different too, even moment to moment. So the more scattered we are, the more wobbly our balancing poses might be. And then we start to kick our leg back. And then we'll bring our arms to our sides, palms facing down, foot is flexed. Now, if lifting your leg up doesn't feel right for your body, just rest those toes back on the ground. It's okay. You don't have to be floating or flying. In fact, you can build a lot of strength with those toes touching the ground, because I'm really working my left leg here. I'm actually working it more right now than when I lift, because as soon as I lift, I'm starting to use my core a little bit more. So don't feel like if you don't quite have the balance yet that you're not benefiting. You absolutely are, and in some cases you might be benefiting a lot. I like to bind my hands in an airplane pose sometimes. You may not want to do that, but I like to open my heart. And crash my airplane. All right, back to center. There's a concept in yoga called beginner's mind. And so no matter how long you've been practicing, you approach it always like a beginner, because in every moment, our body's different. Our experiences are different. So we'll start by getting grounded. As you can probably tell, I'm not incredibly grounded myself today. And my body's not lying. It knows. Okay. Knee up. Find your drishti or your gaze and start to kick back. And you can keep your hands in front of your heart. In fact, this hands in front of heart for me tends to help me kind of hug into my center line, and it will help me balance on a day when I'm a little more wobbly, like today. So see, I'm pressing my hands into each other, and it's actually helping me with the balance. Setting the gaze is another one that's really helpful for me when it comes to balancing poses. Breath in, long breath out. Breathe in, fingertips to the sky. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. High plank, low plank or belly, upward facing dog or cobra. And finally, downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Long breath out. And if you'd like, you can drop your knees and sit back in a child's pose. So for this stretching series, we'll begin on our backs. You take the soles of the feet together, knees wide. Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclining butterfly pose. Begin to soften and invite the inner thighs to open. Invite the body to settle. Begin to notice the breath. Inviting the mind to anchor on the breath, away from thoughts, away from feelings, away from that to-do list that never gets finished. Just letting that all go. Inviting the mind to anchor on the present moment, the breath, right here, right now. And we'll slowly start to take our knees up, taking our feet maybe about mat's width apart, and then we'll start to shift our knees side to side, maybe teeing out the arms at shoulder height, or allowing the arms to be in whatever position feels soft, restful, and natural. And then we'll start to hug both knees in towards the belly, maybe rocking side to side, making some circles on the ceiling with your knees, or making some figure eights on the ceiling with your knees. Whatever works for your body today. And if you're doing circles, you might want to switch directions halfway through. If you're doing figure eights, you might want to do the opposite way. Give our knees one good squeeze. And then keeping hold of the right knee, we'll stretch the left leg out on the mat. Flexing the right foot. You're going to make some circles with your right ankle. My ankle always clicks when I circle it. Switch directions with your circle. Next is going to be your choice. You might loop your fingers together behind your right thigh and begin to straighten the right leg up. Don't worry if it stays partially bent.
Just straighten it as much as you'd like. If you have a prop and you'd like to use it, if you have a strap, you can reach the strap or towel around the bottom of the right foot. Flexing the foot, taking the heel up towards the ceiling, holding onto the strap and just letting gravity stretch. You might notice as you stretch a little bit longer that you can pull your toes kind of more over the head. You might notice that you can straighten your leg a little bit more than you were before. Here, we'll start to open our right leg out to the right and stretch our gaze towards the left. Again, this is an intense stretch, so if this is a little bit too much for you, you don't have to open your leg all the way out to the side. And you can even keep your right knee bent and just kind of open it up like a gate, holding on to the right knee. And then you'll slowly take that right foot back up to the sky. You'll switch hands on the strap or towel if you have one. And then you'll move your right leg over to the left. And you'll see it just stage because I have a bench here. And you'll open your right arm out to the right. And this is opening the outside of the right hip. And again, you can come more towards the floor or less towards the floor, depending on where your body is today and what works for you. And again, notice if you find the thoughts creeping up, if you find the to-do list just won't float away, just actively invite the mind to focus on the inhales and the exhales. One little trick to help you do that is you can attach numbers or counting to your breath. So maybe you breathe in for 5 and breathe out for 7. Or maybe you breathe in for 4, breathe out for 6. When we extend our exhale a little longer than our inhale, that can help bring down our stress levels a little bit. And then when you're ready, slowly start to take your right foot back up to the sky. Maybe you notice that you can stretch a little further now than you could before. Or maybe it's the same, and that's good too. There's no right or wrong, it's just noticing. And noticing where your body is right here, right now, today. And inviting softness in where you feel like you're holding on to tension. So we're going to go ahead and bend our right knee back in again. We're going to take the left knee into joint right. If you want to roll around a little more, again, you can. Loosening up. And then we'll hold on to our left knee, straighten our right leg out on the mat. And if this right here feels like it's where you want to go with your stretch today, you can stay here for the entire duration of the stretch. So again, everything I provide is just a suggestion. You go where your body leads you. Sometimes gentle is better. Sometimes less is more. If you'd like to go a little deeper in this stretch though, you can again grab hands behind the thigh, stretch the left leg up to the sky, or go ahead and loop that strap around the left foot. And hold. You'll notice we do hold our stretches for quite some time, and that's to give our muscles the full benefit of the stretch. And one of the things I'm doing that you might not notice, but I'm continuing to activate my muscles as I stretch. So I'm pulling my left toes back towards my knee. I'm pushing my left heel up towards the ceiling. So I'm activating my muscles as I stretch. I may not stretch as deeply when I do that, but it's a stretching practice I recommend, is to continuously activate those muscles while you're stretching. A restorative practice can help activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of the nervous system that brings sort of the down energy, the relaxation, the rest response, sort of the opposite of the fight, flight, freeze, fawn response. When you're ready, you'll go ahead and start to take that left leg out to the side, opening it up. See if my bench is in the way this way again. It is, but I don't mind hanging out there because I'm using the bench to activate my stretch. It's often helpful here for the gaze to go opposite of leg. But again, check out how it feels in your body. If turning your head to the side isn't feeling great for you, you can just keep your neutral gaze up towards the ceiling, neck nice and neutral, head resting on the mat. Especially with our stretching practice, we want to find that restorative place that brings our body calm, peace, and rest. So we're not really challenging ourselves with this part of the practice. We're inviting ourselves to soften, find support with the ground, find stillness, find softness, ease. Slowly start to take our left leg up, over, and across. Shifting onto our right hip. Opening up that left hip. And again, your arm and your gaze may go opposite your leg. You might keep just a bent knee here if you want. if straightening it is a little too intense for you. Notice this kind of stretches into the back as well, so be mindful of that. Again, pain, pinching, anything like that we're not aiming for. So if you feel anything that does not feel right, you back off, you untwist. You might just take that leg right back up to the sky and just hold it there with no spinal twists at all. Slowly start to take left foot back up to the sky. Maybe stretch a little deeper. And then when you get finished with that, hug both knees in. Maybe make some circles on the ground with your knees. Or on the ceiling, not on the ground. Circles on the ground with your back. Maybe your windshield washer side to side. And maybe you come to rest with soles of the feet together, knees wide, back to that reclined butterfly where we started. And you can rest here for your Shavasana rest, or you can take each foot out to each corner of the mat, arms at your side, shoulder blades tucked under your back for a more traditional Shavasana. Just resting on your back, corpse pose, inviting the practice to integrate. Begin to invite some gentle movement into your fingers and your toes. Perhaps you turn your head from one side to the next, beginning to reconnect with movement. Taking one knee and then the other in towards the belly. Give yourself a squeeze. And then roll to one side. Using your arm to support your head. Yoga fetal position. Rest here on your side. And as we conclude practice, take a moment to just be right here, right now. And then using your arms to support yourself, come back up to a seated, cross-legged position. And take a moment to stretch the spine, crown of the head comes up towards the ceiling. Allow the hands to rest together in front of the heart. And take a moment to set an intention for yourself.
And maybe take a moment to find gratitude. Maybe send some thoughts to someone that you know who needs some positive inspiration or intention. And then taking thumb knuckles up to the forehead center, we share a word that means the light in me sees and honors the light in you. That word is namaste. And so we conclude, namaste. If you have any questions throughout your practice, feel free to reach out through the Flex Counseling and Wellness website.